Good evening and welcome to tonight's induction ceremony for the American Midwest Conference Hall of Fame Class of 2020. I am Will Wolper, Commissioner of the American Midwest Conference, and it is an honor and a privilege to be here to induct the inaugural members of the Hall of Fame. This certainly is not how we foresaw the formal induction of our Hall of Famers, but unfortunately in these times, as so much of our daily lives have become virtual, the AMC Hall of Fame induction ceremony is no different. So thank you for joining us, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook Live. We are glad you could be here tonight as we honor two individuals that I think anyone with knowledge of the AMC and its longstanding history would agree are two of the more influential people, if not the most influential people, in making the American Midwest Conference what it is today. If there's a silver lining to this virtual induction ceremony, it is that we honor both of these individuals whose careers have paralleled for so long on the same night together at the same time and through the same medium. When the Hall of Fame was created 18 or so months ago, the intention was to induct the Hall of Fame honorees in a ceremony on the campus they served or attended. While our two inaugural class members certainly left their mark on Missouri Baptist University and Harris-Stowe State University, their bigger mark is their tenure and service to the conference as a whole. So maybe it is fitting that we honor them tonight together, but that certainly does not eliminate the opportunity to celebrate them on the campuses of the institutions they served and loved for so long. Whether that is in the spring of 2021, next fall, or some other time in the not too distant future, I am hopeful Missouri Baptist and Harris-Stowe will fittingly honor these two amazing people. Before I introduce the American Midwest Conference Hall of Fame Class of 2020 and we hear from our inductees, let me share a little bit about the Hall of Fame. The AMC Hall of Fame was created in the spring of 2019 to honor former athletes, coaches, administrators, and teams who have brought pride, honor, and distinction to the conference through their achievements and contributions at the conference, regional, district, and national levels, dating back to our founding as the Show Me Collegiate Conference in 1986. Nominations for the Hall of Fame are accepted from current and former member institutions until October 15th of each year. In November, the Hall of Fame Selection Committee convenes to review the nominees and vote. The selection committee includes one individual per current member institution, plus the conference commissioner, conference sports information director, and an individual that has served the conference in some capacity for more than 10 years. To gain induction into the Hall of Fame, a nominee must receive a yes vote from 75% of the selection committee. Former student athletes are eligible 5 years after their last date of participation. They must have graduated from the nominating institution and earned at least 2 varsity letters in a conference championship sport. Coaches and administrators must have coached a championship sport or served a member institution in good standing or the conference as a whole for at least 5 years, and they are eligible for nomination 3 years after their tenure has concluded. Or they're still eligible while active if they have been active in that position for more than 10 years. In the last induction category, teams that win an NAIA national championship are eligible 5 years after the championship season. And with that, it is my distinct honor to recognize the inaugural class of the AMC Hall of Fame, the class of 2020, which was officially announced on November 21st, 2019. These two very deserving individuals were selected unanimously by the selection committee to be the inaugural members of the Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating Mr. Lowell Pitzer and Ms. Valerie Beeson. Lowell wore many hats during his 30-plus years of service to Missouri Baptist University and the American Midwest Conference. That concluded with his retirement from the MBU faculty this past summer. He coached both the Spartans women's and men's basketball teams during his career, earning Conference Coach of the Year honors in both sports, and led the men's team to its first ever NAIA National Tournament appearance in 1994. As an administrator, both as the athletics director at Missouri Baptist as well as the former commissioner of the conference, Lowell was named the 1993-94 District 16 Administrator of the Year and the American Midwest Conference Administrator of the Year for 1996-97. As long as that abridged list of accolades that Lowell earned during his career is, the list of committees that he served on for the NAIA is even longer. I venture to say there are very few NAIA committees that he was not part of at some point during his tenure with Missouri Baptist or with the conference. Lowell's final 5 years of service to Missouri Baptist in the AMC was spent serving the institution's faculty athletic representative, where he also served on the conference's membership committee. This becomes the 4th different Hall of Fame that Lowell has been inducted into. He joined the Missouri Baptist University Athletics Hall of Fame in 2004, the Alderson Broaddus University Sports Hall of Fame in 2009, and in 2013, he was inducted into the NAIA Hall of Fame. Now, He is a member of the American Midwest Conference Hall of Fame class of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me again in congratulating Mr. Lowell Pitzer. I would ask Lowell's wife, Sue, to please join him and on behalf of the AMC officially present Lowell with his Hall of Fame plaque. Thank you, Sue. Lowell, I invite you to share a few words.
Thank you. And I want to begin by saying that there are sometimes things that happen in our lives that can feel like really big deals. Being inducted into the first class of AMC Hall of Fame recipients is, for me, one of those moments. Even more so, being invited to share this honor with such a noble servant to the AMC and the NAIA as Valerie Beeson is, again, for me, an even bigger deal. I want to thank the AMC athletic directors, the council presidents, and particularly this committee that has extended this honor to me. And I am so greatly honored and overwhelmed by this. It has been a blessing to serve with the Legion of Show Me Conference and American Midwest Conference leaders for 30 years. Valerie and conference others have worked tirelessly to provide a conference whose foundational principles of competition were and still are shaped by policy, by rules, and character initiatives to serve our institution and our student athletes. Some of these individuals who have served this conference down through the years begin with such people as Jim Belton from Harris Stowe, Art Siebels, who was at three of the conference schools, Columbia, Missouri Baptist, and at that time, Lindenwood University. Others include Bob Burchard, Harry Statham, Tom Smith, Jeff Ryder, Cindy Potter. The list can go on, and people who have actually been instrumental in making this conference what it is. As a coach, athletic director, and commissioner, my goal in this arena of competition was always to play hard, have fun, and win if you can, while following the guidelines of the conference and the NAIA and the sport rules regulating competition in every sport. Every year, these guidelines were reviewed to ensure best practice in each of our conference and national championships. As the conference evolved during my 30 years, there were many changes in the NAIA structure. They were started with districts, to regions, to conferences. The AMC experienced a growth of membership during this time from 8 schools to 12 member schools. Committed individuals from each institution gave time and energy to accommodate the organizational changes occurring in the NAIA. My involvement in leading the conference during these challenging times was in so many ways was a joy. I have been blessed with lifelong friendships, served on countless committees, attended multiple conferences and national championships, traveled across to the USA to national conventions, and my personal favorite, serving as the chairman of the NAIA Men and Women's Basketball Tournament Committee for the last 20 years. I want to mention the fact that because of this position that I have traveled, for example, to Seattle, to Portland. These are all NAIA conventions, to Orlando, Florida, and even there seeing a space shuttle launched. What a treat that was. Attending Kansas City conventions where we had banquets and many types of after banquet opportunities to join in fellowship. Going to Salt Lake City and having the opportunity to visit the Mormon Tabernacle and go to a service there and hear the Mormon Tabernacle choir sing. Going to Louisville to hear the thunder over Louisville fireworks. The list could go on. And in the NAIA itself, many of these individuals that I have built relationships with include the president of the NAIA, Jim Carr, who actually played against my team when I was coaching at Belhaven University. He was a player at Millsaps University at that time. And now he's finishing 20 years in the NAIA as a CEO. What a legacy that is. Other people like Kevin D. and Brian Seigan, Mike Higgins, Eric Olson, John McCarthy, Tony Bybee, Amy Stover. The list of those NAIA folks can go on as well, who have been very instrumental in my being a part of the NAIA. But as I think about this whole idea of the organization and the AMC, I would like to celebrate with you what I believe are our most significant works over these years of coaching, administration, and service. One is nurturing our student athletes toward maturity and integrity. Second, encouraging our institutions, athletic programs, and student athletes in academic preparation and responsibility. Fostering, lastly, respect and collegiality among the institutions and the athletic departments in our conference. What a joy it has been to have opportunity to sit in not only conference committee meetings, but also dinners that we have had, and just sometimes midnight snacks where we gathered around a particular table and chatted with one another. Building those relationships has been such an incredible and important thing to me. And as a coach of an NAIA basketball team, the first year that I coached, I had to go to David Lipscomb University in Tennessee. And on our way there, our team was traveling in a van and another vehicle. And I was the lead vehicle in the parade to travel down to Nashville, Tennessee to play Lipscomb University. And we had gotten about maybe an hour and a half on the road on I-64 and south on 57. And I looked in my rearview mirror, and the vehicle behind me was carrying my athletes was not in sight. So I slowed down, and we finally turned around and went back, and I saw that our vehicle was broken down and smoke was coming out of the engine. So I pulled up in front of our vehicle, and I had no idea what to do. And in about 5 minutes, a tow truck came along and pulled up in front of my van. He got out and he said, "Looks like you're having trouble." I said, "We are. We're supposed to be in Nashville to play a game tonight." He said, "Well, I can take you down to the southern part of Illinois." And what he did was jack up my van and my athletes in that van, and we traveled on I-57 to where we could get two new vehicles to travel to Nashville. Those are the kind of stories that people have in the NAIA. They are just sort of, you can't really describe how often we run into situations like this, but it was one of the events that I remember, and going to the national tournament was just an incredible event as well. And being with the NAIA tournament as a committee chairman for the basketball tournament, meeting all the different schools throughout the country and building friendships there has been a tremendous honor for me, and I cherish it deeply. And I'd like to just close by saying that we are far more than just an athletic organization. We are a force for good in the lives of people we serve. I am grateful to have been part of this conference the past 30 years. Let me again say that this is an incredible honor, and I am deeply, deeply appreciative of the selection committee. It has been my joy and pleasure to serve with you. May the AMC, the NAIA continue affecting our culture for good and far into the future. Praise God for these years. Thank you.
Thank you, Lowell. Great stories. Those are some great stories. I do want to add a personal note of thank you and congratulations. You have been the ideal predecessor. You have been there when I have needed to reach out for guidance and counsel, but you've never questioned anything the conference or I have done since your retirement as the commissioner. I've always felt you've been one of my biggest supporters and have enjoyed the times that we've had to spend with each other. You left big shoes to fill, which was a challenge for me from day one to live up to the standards that you set for the position as a commissioner of the American Midwest Conference. To this day, one of the highlights of my career has been the opportunity to have you join me in presenting the American Midwest Conference Men's Basketball Tournament Championship Trophy to Harris Stowe in 2018. Congratulations, Lowell, and thank you for all you have done to make the AMC such a special place. Now, talking about Harris Stowe, what a great segue to our next inductee. Someone who has over 40 years of service to Harris Stowe State University and has been part of the American Midwest Conference since the beginning. Valerie Beeson is the only eligibility chair in the history of the Show Me Collegiate Conference and the American Midwest Conference. She has served as faculty athletic representative at Harris Stowe, a charter member of the conference, for over 20 years. Just to name a few of the nearly 20 NAIA committees, councils, and task forces which she has served during her tenure: the National Eligibility Committee, Constitution and Bylaws Committee, District 16 Eligibility Committee, where she also served as their eligibility chair, the Council of Faculty Athletic Representatives, the Competitive Experience Committee, Academic Study Task Force, Faculty Athletic Representatives Association, and the Conduct and Ethics Committee, serving as chair of those last two groups during the 1989-90 academic year. Valerie is a charter member of the NAIA Alumni Association. She was inducted into the NAIA Hall of Fame in the Meritorious Service category in 2001 and was named the NAIA Charles Morris Administrator of the Year in 2015-16. Around the conference, we have two running jokes with Valerie. She knows the NAIA handbook so well, the National Office Legislative Services staff call her for help interpreting their bylaws. Then the second, it seems I have to remind Val from time to time that she is under an ironclad contract with the conference that does not expire for at least 10 years after every current athletics director, faculty athletic representative, registrar, and I leave our positions with the school or the conference. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the American Midwest Conference Hall of Fame as part of the inaugural class of 2020, Ms. Valerie Beeson. I would ask Valerie's daughter, Audra, to please join her, and on behalf of the AMC, officially present Val with her Hall of Fame plaque. Thank you, Audra. Valerie, a few words.
Thank you, Commissioner. American Midwest Conference colleagues and friends, I wrote a few remarks as a response to this honor, but no script could prepare me for the emotion I feel at this time. I am truly humbled and genuinely overwhelmed. Congratulations to fellow inductee Lowell Pitzer. Well deserved. Your involvement with Missouri Baptist University and with the American Midwest Conference has helped make both these entities very special. You are the epitome of the NAIA Champions of Character 5 core values. Your very being silently shouts integrity, respect, responsibility, servant leadership, and sportsmanship. Thank you to Dorian Johnson and to Banny Kahneman for putting together my nomination packet, and to those of you who took time from your extremely busy schedules to support that nomination. Your efforts on my behalf did not go unnoticed and are much appreciated. A special thank you to Commissioner Will Wolper. Your remarks when the announcement was made last fall were heartwarming. Many years ago, an experienced teacher offered this advice. He said, students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. He continued, get to know your students. See them in their strengths as well as in their weaknesses. Watch them where they excel. For some, unfortunately, that wasn't my class. Watch them play sports, sing in the choir, perform in a play, participate in a speech contest. That advice is what flavored my thinking about the whole student, the entire student, and continues to flavor that thinking today. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And what a wonderful journey I have had with my Burke and Beeson families, with Harris Stowe, with the American Midwest Conference, and with the NAIA. That journey has allowed me to live a life filled with unique experiences I could not have imagined when at the age of 5, I decided I wanted to be a math teacher. When I became FAR at Harris, and many of you have heard the story, I was approached. You know the students, you go to events, you're a math person, you surely know that 12 plus 12 equals 24. We need somebody to do eligibility. I'll try it, I said. With that, I was given a rule book and a phone number. Didn't quite understand the rule book since it was already determined that I knew 12 plus 12 equals 24. Found out later there was more to it than that. The phone number belonged to Wally Schwartz. I called Wally. He told me that eligibility was submitted via districts. Harris Stowe was in District 16, and Dr. Otis Miller of William Jewell College was the District 16 eligibility chair. Dr. Miller was a perfectionist and insisted that all who reported eligibility to him be the same. Early in our relationship, he called me to tell me that I had a mistake on an eligibility certificate. Ooh, not something an FAR wants to hear. He said I had identified the certificate as track. He let me know that track was not an NAIA sport. It was indoor track or outdoor track. Thank you, Dr. Miller, for teaching me to be totally observant and for encouraging me to begin attending NAIA national conventions. Before I attended my first convention, I made a request of Harris President, Dr. Henry Gibbons. That request was simple. All expenses incurred as a result of my involvement with the NAIA would have to come from his budget, not my departmental budget. Thank you, Dr. Gibbons, for honoring that request until my retirement as FAR. In 1994, if memory serves correctly, the NAIA transitioned from a district to a conference eligibility structure. I agreed to become the conference eligibility chair for a period of 2 years. Little did I know that those 2 years would become 2 times 13 and counting. To former AMC colleagues, some of you have retired or taken other positions. Your institutions have left the AMC for other NAIA conferences, have totally left the NAIA, or sadly have closed. I still consider you colleagues. Thank you for the time we spent together and for the conversations we continue to have. To my current AMC colleagues, I hope you all know you are very special friends. We have always worked together to make sure American Midwest Conference athletes are eligible and appropriately certified. My emails, texts, and phone numbers are always responded to quickly and, if necessary, with in-depth answers and comments. To those of you who have been the recipients of what some of you have named my 2 idiosyncrasies, fear no more. Both those situations are now gone. With the submission of eligibility packets via the electronic eligibility certification process, check marks no longer appear on the back of a transfer form. No longer do I have to remind faculty athletic representatives to initial, not check, the appropriate section. I do sometimes have to remind faculty athletic representatives about other things, but to my knowledge, those other things have not yet been added to my list of Beeson's idiosyncrasies. At the most recent NAIA convention, a proposal was passed and immediately became bylaw. That bylaw allows registrars to verify a graduating senior or a graduate student's enrollment in less than 12 hours simply by signing the official eligibility certificate within the ECP software. No longer is a separate letter on official school stationery required. Not surprisingly, that proposal passed unanimously, and NAIA registrars all over the country are still applauding. My dear friends, I hope your journeys have taken you where you want to go and where you want to be. Mine has. Thank you for understanding that we must always do what is right and best for students, but we must do so within the boundaries of institutional, conference, and NAIA rules and regulations. Nothing less is acceptable. In conclusion, thank you for allowing me to virtually share these thoughts and remembrances. Hopefully, we will be together soon in person. Until then, please stay safe and healthy, and know that I am truly blessed to have the privilege of working with each of you on a daily basis. Thank you again.
Thank you, Val. I think perfectionist and care are two words that very much describe you. You're very caring, and you always want everybody, you always want that perfection to be hit. So I think those are two great lessons that you were taught that everybody else is able to benefit from. On a personal note, I want a thanks and congratulations. I still remember our first phone call, which I received from you shortly after I was named the AMC commissioner. You wanted to introduce yourself, but also made it a point to let me know that you understood and respected any decision I might make regarding the eligibility chair position once I took over. I had no NAIA experience. I barely understood the role of the eligibility chair, and this was even before I learned about your reputation in the NAIA. But there certainly was no way at that time I was even considering making a change, and still am not. Signing you to that ironclad contract I mentioned earlier is the most important thing I've done since joining the AMC. Your knowledge, experience, the respect everyone has for you are all second to none. Those, along with your friendship and counsel, have been invaluable to me over the past 7 years. Congratulations, Valerie, and thank you for all you have done for the AMC, our member institutions, student athletes, and myself. As we close, to both Lowell and Valerie, there are not two more deserving individuals to be the inaugural members of the American Midwest Conference Hall of Fame. Because if not for each of you, there would be no American Midwest Conference. Beyond that, your service to the conference and NAIA have had so many parallels, it is appropriate that you've been inducted here together tonight. On behalf of the conference membership, the thousands of current and former student athletes, coaches, and administrators that were able to be part of this amazing conference because of what you brought to it and what you made the conference. Congratulations, Lowell. Congratulations, Valerie. Your families and campus communities, congratulations. And thank you for making the AMC what it is today. To those of you watching us on the conference YouTube channel or through Facebook Live, thank you for joining us and being part of this special evening as we recognize the AMC Hall of Fame class of 2020, Valerie Beeson and Lowell Pitzer. Congratulations, thank you, and have a great evening.